think you'll see technology will continue alongside new IP, attract a lot of money. I think, interesting. I think the NFL, NBA have done very good deals for long term to try and see over an 11-year period who wins the streaming wars, and when they come back to market in 11 years' time, they'll be able to say, okay, what is the M&A that's happened in the media market that, is Netflix the winner? Is Apple the winner? Is it Amazon? Is it a more traditional broadcaster? I think where Sports Investment Partners, where we're spending a lot of our time, though, is around real assets and mixed-use real estate, and particularly around Europe and the US, saying, how do you replicate the success of a Battery Park in Atlanta or the Spurs Stadium in London, and maybe on smaller scales around Europe and the US, and say, there's a lot of aging infrastructure, but fans need a place to go. You need mixed commercial use case. New residential needs to be built in these cities. So I think we're seeing a lot of appetite around, again, as media rights in Europe plateau, where do you put your money? Is it into the real estate around the venues that attract people on a 24/7 basis? So I think the ebb and flow of sports is such that there are plenty of opportunities. You perhaps have to look a little more carefully now than you did a few years ago when, as I say, everyone's Excel spreadsheet went up and to the right.
Hey, Michael, Martin here. Great to see you and a pleasure having you on the show. So listen, the business model these days for sports, right? It's not about filling stadiums, putting bums in seats, etc., although tickets are getting pretty expensive these days, I know. But it's more about the distribution, right? You mentioned on platforms like Apple or Netflix, etc., and once that's locked in, that is a big amount of money, right? Which means it's sort of pretty strong cash flow when you think of sports as an investment. Is that what makes it inflation-proof, tariff-proof, even recession-proof? And does that make it what folks in the financial world call alpha, right? Uncorrelated returns?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's why you've seen the likes of Ares, Silver Lake, Oaktree, CVC all plow into the space. Even last week, Nate Checkett's announced a new $1.2 billion fund. So I think a lot of institutions in the last 5 or 6 years have woken up to the fact that it is generally seen as recession-proof. There is plenty of alpha out there. I do think you need to find good operators to come into these sports businesses. I think where you've seen mistakes take place is where people have come in and perhaps misunderstood what the fan is and how the media model works and hired the wrong people. But generally speaking, I think, look, in good times and bad times, people like to watch sports. I think that's a general truism that still holds steady. And if you can't go out and spend money, you perhaps stay at home and pay for your subscription so you can watch your favorite teams.